Anyway, I'm Cindy Chin. We're going to start this video and have a look at this.
Put my money?
Where?
Bitcoin.
What's Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is the first decentralized digital cryptocurrency that works without a central bank.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and it's so simple to use. Transactions take place through the use of cryptography and are verified by network nodes and recorded in an immutable public distributed ledger called a blockchain. What could be simpler than that?
Nothing. It sounds great.
Right. So is it like investing in stocks?
Kind of, but not at all.
Well, I'm on board.
Really? Because I have so many more questions.
Not me.
Where can I get one of these Bitcoins? Can I buy one at my local bank?
Of course not. What a dumb question.
Thought it was valid.
No, it was dumb.
Bitcoins aren't like regular currency. They're mined.
In a physical mine, like gold?
That's ridiculous. Bitcoins are mined on computers using the SHA-256 hashing algorithm, creating 12.5 Bitcoins per block.
Uh-huh.
That is until mid-2020.
Uh-huh.
And then afterwards, 6.25 Bitcoins per block for 4 years until the next halving.
Wait, are we still talking about money?
Cryptocurrency.
This sounds so simple.
Shut up, Margaret. There's no way you understood all of that.
Okay.
So how much do one of these Bitcoins cost?
$17,000.
$17,000? That's insane.
Sounds like a bargain.
Ugh. And how do you keep track of these things' values?
Just check the internet. So far today, its value has gone up $1,000. Oh, and now it's down $800, and now it's up $500.
Sounds like you can't lose.
You absolutely can, Margaret.
How do I buy Bitcoins?
It's easy. Just go online and give them your credit card number.
Give who your credit card number?
Bitcoin. And then let the internet do what it does.
What does it do exactly?
It Bitcoins.
Here's my credit card.
No! So who started Bitcoin?
We think it was Satoshi Nakamoto.
Who is that?
No one really knows.
He sounds cute.
Margaret, I swear to God.
And Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency I trust with my kids' college fund.
That's smart investing.
That's bat crazy.
Oh, now it's down to $3. Easy come, easy go.
This message brought to you by the stock market. Gamble with your retirement the old-fashioned way.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That kind of tells you maybe Satoshi is female. You know, we need a little bit more women in the space in order to figure out what all this means. This is, I always start out one of my presentations with a shot of the city in which I am, and here's Bangkok. I want to say thank you so much to Bangkok, Hybrid Block, Apollo, Rod, Henry, and the crew for their hard work in inviting me to come all the way here from New York. It's very exciting. It's my first time ever in Bangkok and in Thailand, so I'm very excited to be here. This is one of the best business plans out there ever to start a business, and we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for this. Does anybody know what this is? Raise your hand if you know. No? This is the business plan from Tim Berners-Lee about the World Wide Web, and it took one slide, one page, and that's it. It tells you, and that transformed an entire planet on what we're doing here. So that, you see his name right there in the lower left, he's somewhere there, yeah, in the bottom there in the center. And here I am, I'm in CERN, and that was the next computer that he used in order to code the first URL, and that's CERN's central data center. And this is the old technology in the web, and now here we are in blockchain. And my entry into blockchain was actually pretty cool. Do you guys know what this is? Anybody? It's the Twitter egg, and that's how I learned about blockchain. It was over on Twitter, Bitcoin actually more specifically. And does anybody know who this guy is? Yes, it's Charlie Brown. But it's also not Charlie Brown. It's somebody who used Charlie Brown as his Twitter handle, and he kind of looks like him. That's him. This is Mark Andreessen. He's one of the most successful venture capitalists in the United States with Andreessen Horowitz, and he's the reason that I learned about Bitcoin back in 2010. I didn't take a bite because it was a little too egg-heady for me at the time. I'm not a coder, so for me it was really interesting. He started putting out the Fibonacci charts, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. But because I was working on other things. But I actually started CLC Advisors 10 years ago to work with a variety of different projects and startups and founders. I now focus on frontier technologies and sciences, and when I started, it was working with startups, founders, and helping them develop their business plans, as well as find strategic partnerships and helping them grow. And it turned to a variety of different things in public-private sector partnerships. And I've been helping build startup ecosystems in the U.S. as well as in Western Europe, and a little bit over in Asia, actually, as well. So that's who I am. I'm also a NASA Datanaut. I'm one of the people that gets to work with NASA in the CIO's office as a private citizen in the private sector, in talking about data science and getting more people excited in it, and work with space data, et cetera. So I do a variety of different things, and lastly, I am the co-founder of with the Women on the Block conference, that we had our first conference in New York City at the start of Blockchain Week, and we had 52 all-female speakers for the conference. So there are a lot of women out there doing really cool things as well, and diversity is very important for mass adoption. So we're talking about what are the needs and what we need in the blockchain industry for things to grow and ecosystems, and women is definitely one of them, as you can see back there in the video. And MIT also wrote a report on what blockchain is and means for the ecosystems and whatnot. And if you haven't read that report, I suggest that you go and look it up. I think it's been around for a while, but it's very, very interesting as well. I wanted to share that information for everybody here. And we were moving from a centralized network database infrastructure to decentralized and then distributed as well. So these are the different technical data infrastructures that are out there that are being built. So this is your periodic table of cryptocurrencies, and of all this science that's going on, we're trying to figure out what to build with them, right? We're in such early stages right now in blockchain that the innovation and the ideas out there are fantastic. And I think that it's worth noting, that number today that Rose Sun said that blew me away, 8,500 exchanges in China alone. And they're dealing with some of these over there and whatnot. We're going to see a lot of movement and change, obviously. I'm not going to spend too much time on cryptocurrencies because we don't have that. But anyway, my clock says 1 minute and 45 seconds. Is that true? All right, we better hurry up. Okay, so I'm going to do it very quickly if there's only like 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes left. But there are 40 big industries blockchain could transform. I think in Southeast Asia, definitely in the transportation and logistics area, in the supply chain is very good. There's companies out here. One example is our host this morning who did the interactive session on blockchain and what blockchain is. One of them actually spent time working with Thai silk developers, the women who are spinning the silk. And the origins of that is certainly a very good use case in terms of using blockchain technology in order to track where the source is. So there are a variety of different things that can be transformed with the technology, and that's one. There's a lot of people here talking about cryptocurrency exchanges, so money transfers, I won't talk about that. There's also sovereign identification, which is very good for when people who are misplaced, like refugees, or who don't get birth certificates as well, are also very good in deploying blockchain technology. But I do often talk to a lot of enterprise companies in discussing what blockchain technologies. I was recently with the futurist of SAP, the chief futurist, sitting there. We were discussing the implications of healthcare and what they do. So in the enterprise level, what are some of the ideas of things in here in healthcare that are out there that really can transform with this technology? Next, so some of the big questions are, what do we do with it? What can you do with it in order to get mass adoption? Right now, it's so early. There's a lot of companies out there, a lot of founders who are not as experienced, but really do need to find the right strategic partners in order to help them develop and increase the use applications for the tech. You can be the best coder out there. You can be the Leonardo da Vinci of code. But if you can't get people to use what you're building or understand what you're building, you're not going to go anywhere. So that's very important to see and to understand and to get the right people on board. And it's not just a money play. It's a use application play. So no, we're not looking for the answers to Earth, but one of those could be where we are going to be one day. So how do we get there? Those are moons of Jupiter, actually, where NASA thinks that they may find life in areas that may be habitable for humans in the future. So nothing has been built up there yet. We haven't even gone there. We just sent a satellite to take images and have a look and do research and whatnot. And you have Io is the first, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Those are the moons. And the closest one out of them, does anybody know where they think that life could possibly exist? There's some space in there. It's actually in Europa, which is the second one. So this is a picture of Mars. I threw that in there. And this is a good example of why blockchain or really decentralized networks are very important and need to be built. When you don't have central servers, right, where does the data go? It's going to have to, NASA has a paper on this, it's going to have to rely on decentralized networks and databases. And what are some of the applications in which can be in space or in here on Earth that the technology which I see is a good investment and where it needs to be developed is also in the, not just sovereign identification, right, is one that I mentioned before, but also the, I just lost my thought there for a second. So sovereign identification, but also for supply chain, for distribution purposes, as well as storage of data eventually, optical communications, et cetera. All those things need to be figured out before we can go. And one of the companies that's doing that in blockchain is Nexus. They're using microsatellites in order to deploy information. I know this is a little bit far advanced, but I hope that what we're doing here, food supply, where is the origins of food, water, et cetera, will help and get all of us all the way over there. So this is a deep space gateway. There's information there if you need to look at that. And are we going to worry about failure, right? So what do we need in order to build our industry and to get more people involved? And it's to overcome this big word. This is a big word, not just in the US, but also in Europe. They spend a lot of time talking about failure. They don't stomach it very well. Also here in Asia and Southeast Asia. It's very important in order to change your mindsets and to be open to the ideas, which is why this conference is really wonderful, to get a bunch of people in here who are experts in building the actual technologies out there in the exhibit spaces, which I'm really looking forward to going in to meet them as well and see what they're doing there, and then comparing them to what's being done in the US and in Europe. And so, yeah, we just, this guy certainly knows a lot about failure. He also knows a lot about successes as well. And lastly, so we're going to path a chart, hopefully, to the future and what we're doing here today. And that leads all the way to Jupiter, which is likely, possibly going to be where humans are going to be someday. So kind of think about that from a human perspective. Kind of think about how you can get the best teams in order to get you out there. And it's not going to always look like you. It's not always going to be ones who are, just one gender either. It's going to be different ages. It's going to be different backgrounds, different, occupations. A farmer is certainly going to be very useful when it comes to over there. So do not discount the ideas and what they're doing today here on Earth in order to build what you're going to do. And there's some books that I recommend for you to read and anybody to read. First one's about money. Second one is really about artificial intelligence. The third one's about cryptocurrencies. And the other one's crypto assets. So I recommend you all reading those. And I'll wrap it up very quickly, say thank you. My next talk internationally will be in Vienna with the Darwin Circle I'll be talking with someone from SpaceX and someone from IBM X about blockchain. And we're going to have a NASA Data Knots events there, so I encourage you and invite you to come and say thank you very much to Hybrid Block for this opportunity. Bye.